Right, so can we prevent burnout in the emergency services stroke the police? Well, from people that know me and my experience, you'll know that I suffer from complex post-traumatic stress disorder, severe depression and severe anxiety. So I didn't get the care I needed. I wasn't seen when I should have been seen, kind of thing. But I don't hold any resentment to that on the police. But I think things could have been done, and I think we could pick up signs and symptoms beforehand. And one of the things that has been brought onto my attention, which I never thought about, is the use of tenure in traffic. And I think it was 5 or 7 years. And I was like, no, that's gone now, brilliant. I can be a traffic cop for the rest of my career. I do think that there should have been a tenure aspect, but the idea is you still keep all your passes, you still keep all your qualifications, and you might want to go to beat for a year, or you might want to go to CID, you might want to go proactive drugs team or whatever. You can still drive an advanced car, and then come back when you want to come back, and you're still as qualified as you can do. But I'm going to hand this over to you because you're expert basically, and this is what you do. So I'm going to ask you again, can we prevent burnout?
We can, and I think it's possible to do it. Do I think we can do it in the current way policing is? No. Because the job isn't set up to support. We've got officers now that are joining and have got workloads of 20, 30 different things. They are struggling to look after the health and the well-being. They are getting pressure from sergeants who I think are trying to do the right thing, but they're getting pressure from above, and that pressure's coming from further above because we're that concerned about the fact that we haven't got the numbers and more people are getting more and more workload. The jobs are getting worse. The support that we've got for people isn't there. We can't get annual leave. And if you do ask for annual leave, you're starting to think, well, feel bad for asking annual leave. It's your leave. If you want it, you should be allowed to have it. But because the numbers are so low, officers are going long periods without it. And that trauma that they're dealing with and the incidents that they're dealing with is just building up. And then, because I don't think policing is now set up to have the camaraderie that we used to have, I just don't think people are talking about it. And there is still a stigma of people putting their hands up and saying, I'm struggling.
Yeah.
And that should not be happening. We should be turning around and saying, you know what, I've got 30 things on my workload here and I cannot deal with this. It's absolutely burying me and it's now affecting my sleep. I'm working on my rest days because I'm trying to catch up. That shouldn't be happening. If anyone's taking a device home, please stop.
Yeah.
You are not getting paid when you're at home. These are your days to recover, and you shouldn't be just recovering. There shouldn't be recovery days. These should be your days that you enjoy with your family and your loved ones and your friends. But instead, they turn into, well, I'm going to get my device out and just have a quick look at this. And a quick look turns into 2-3 hours. And the reason why I can say it is because people inside Blue Dot Lifestyle, that's what they're coming to us with. Every single week without fail, I'm getting DMs from people that are saying, I'm burnt out. There's loads of signs of burnout, and we can talk through them, that's no problem. But, and I can guarantee you've probably experienced these signs, but probably didn't recognise them at the time.
Yeah.
But the job isn't doing enough to highlight them. And the reason why they're not is because we're dispensable.
Yeah.
Officers are dispensable. If you go off sick, we might have a little bit of guilt. And I know people do. Well, if I go off sick, I feel a little bit guilty. The job doesn't really care if you go off sick. It doesn't matter if you go off sick. But to you, because of the pride that we've got, it does. But sometimes going off sick is exactly the right thing for you to do. Remember, you're doing a job. That's all it is. You're a number in a big, big system. But what's more important is you looking after your health, your well-being, and turning up every day for the people that matter the most. If you aren't available for your family, that's a problem. If you're not available for the police, that isn't a problem because they'll just replace you with someone else.
It's like our lass is a detective sergeant, and I sit at home. I won't go too far into me with this because everyone knows my story. But I sit at home and she's on her rest days, and she'll fire up a laptop and she'll have just got some work to do, and she'll start doing crime reviews or she'll start doing some work, and I'm like, what are you doing? And she'll, yeah, but I need to get this done, or I need to do this, or we need to do that, and that needs to be, or I start work at 4 in the afternoon or whatever she does. She'll literally at 12 o'clock, she'll have a laptop open and she'll be working. And I'm like, what are you doing? Yeah, but I can get it back for time off in lieu. And I'm like, no, the idea being is you finish work and you're done, and then she'll start saying, I'm not sleeping properly.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, but why are you not sleeping properly? And I says, you should be looking at me, no disrespect, but look what's happened to me. And look what happened to me. Look how I would treat. Look what I went through. That nearly broke us as a couple. And you should really be taking this on board now, because for people don't get this, but people that'll work with me, and every single bobby that's worked with me will know this. I used to start at 7 in the morning. I used to be in 6:20. I used to start at 1 in the afternoon or 12 in the afternoon. I used to be in at 11:15. And they say, what you do? And the bobbies would be walking in at 1 minute to 7, half dressed. And what are you in at this time for? And I'm like, but I want to get a clean slate. I want to catch up. I want to take briefing. I want to check my emails. So at 7 o'clock, I can turn out on dot. Where other bobbies would be turning out at 8:15 because they'd have a brew, they'd do everything, they'd do all their emails, and they'd be saying, yeah, but you're not getting paid. Do you log yourself on? Do you show yourself back on duty? No. I do it because I love the job. Yeah. And all it's doing is adding my 7 o'clock in the morning till 5 o'clock at night, my 8, 9, 10, 11 hours that I'm going to be working. Well, it's going another hour on top of that. I'll normally stay for another hour afterwards, so that's doubled. That's giving another 2 hours on top. Then I've got to get up an hour earlier. So then your work life isn't, well, I'm working 8, 9, 10 hours a day. I'm working in theory 14 hours a day. And that's before I even get home, take my shoes off, go for a shower, sit down and have my tea. And that's what people don't realise. They don't realise that. And I've said this every time I do a lecture around the country to all police forces. I've said this. 1984, Lethal Weapon were made. I think it was 1984, 1985, Lethal Weapon were made.
I know what you're going to say, yeah.
Right. And in that video, and I know it's a film and I know it's a take-it-piss film, but they've got someone in the station that looks after Riggs' mental health. So if someone who's wrote that film in 1984 go, right, we'll get a counsellor wrote in, even if it didn't happen in real life, but someone has thought they'll have a counsellor at a police station in 1984. And we still don't have that. We still don't have someone that's paid. Even I've got mates that go through psychology degrees and all this lot in counselling degrees, and they've got to do so many hours. We said, why don't, when you do your training, why don't you, when you used to do daily research at college, why don't you come and be at stations to get your hours in? And all it is if you want someone to talk to, you go into a room, it's got a punch bag in the corner, it's got wall flyers up, it's got squishy things you can squeeze, it's got a blackboard you can write whatever you want on, even if you write a big fucking dick on it. You can't get what's in that room is your safe room. Yeah. And then it's got someone sat in the corner and the whatever, and they just say, do you want to chat to me? No, I don't. I want to punch his punch bag. Crack on. Do you want to talk to me? Yeah, I do. And nothing that you say is recordable or it's put down unless they say, I need help, I'm suicidal. Yeah. Or I need help, this sort. And then they can do an instant referral towards you, and that goes through. Tomorrow morning you are saying, I had to ring up Hockey Health and say, I'm going to hurt myself, you've got duty care now, I'm in this office, you've got to... And ironically, the appointment that we're going to get 3 weeks down the line happened for the next day, because I'm going to hurt me. So you can get an appointment.
Yeah, I think the thing is, mate, I'll be honest with you, I've had some horror stories where people have done exactly that and they still don't get an appointment. People are putting their hand up and saying, I need some support, and they're still not getting it. And that is where the trust, the confidence in the job has gone. Because if you put your hand up, it genuinely is probably that moment that you need some support, because that isn't the first time that you felt like that.
Well, the damage has already happened. In theory, you've got to the tipping point. You're on the edge of the cliff, and you go deciding, do I jump and fall? And you basically put your hand up saying, I'm going, can you give me an hand?
I mean, one of the things we were discussing previously was wellbeing days. And I'll say wellbeing days, and every police officer out there will have this image of a wellbeing day. It's a wellbeing dog, a couple of pens and a couple of stands that you go to, and they're the same everywhere.
And it's shit.
Yeah, and it's shit. However, what we get is police forces going, well, they don't get very well attended. No, they don't, because they're always the same. And then what it kind of looks like is that the officers don't need wellbeing. They do, but they need it better than what it is. And wellbeing days could be amazing. For example, why can't you do a webinar on how to spot the signs of burnout?
Yeah.
And put it right across the force and say, look, this is some of the signs that you need to be looking out for, because we know how challenging it is. That's wellbeing.
Yeah.
And that's welfare, because you're actually providing a real value to people, rather than these tick box things to say, well, we support wellbeing. I spoke to a wellbeing manager very recently, and we were discussing wellbeing days, and they said to me that wellbeing days open Pandora's box.
Yeah, they don't want that.
They don't want it to happen. And in my opinion, that's what a wellbeing day is all about. You being able to show, you know what, we're here to listen, and we are here to support you. And if you want to put your hand up and you are comfortable enough to do it and you trust us enough, that's brilliant. But instead, what we get is, well, that might be a little bit too much. We haven't got the resources for that. It's a bit too much. It's too difficult. And that is an absolute shambles. Wellbeing days could be the best days you could ever give to police officers and staff right across this country. You could do it. And it doesn't have to be someone like me. It can be somebody, whoever the police forces want. Make it relatable. Make it that these people have walked a mile in their shoes, and you will get officers putting their hand up and saying, you know what, yeah, I can relate to that and I want some help. And if you help one police officer, one staff member, just get a little bit of support when they need it.
That's what it is.
That's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I've lectured down at Nottingham. There's an inspector called Luke down at Nottingham who pulls his rank and shouts and balls and gets these days. And I've been about 4 times. And Luke, if you're watching, cheers, pal. And then when I do talk down there and talk about my journey, I have 1 or 2 people in tears, and normally it's men. Yeah. And when I look, they're wearing black combats, black tack vests, and they're coming from an ops standpoint. And then when they talk to me afterwards, they'll come up and shake my hand and say, thanks for that, blah, blah, blah. And I say, are you all right? And they'll say, no. And first thing I have to say is, right, go see your GP, speak to your boss, do this, and if you're not, you go off sick. I can't go off sick. That's the first thing I say, I can't go off sick. They'll pull me firearms permit, they'll pull me traffic permit, or X, Y, and Z, or what did job do? Well, I don't mean this in Nottingham, so if you're looking, I'm just talking about in general, or X, Y, and Z. And do you talk to anyone? No, there's no one I can talk to. And that's the idea. So it's like when you just said then, if you're doing the signposting and you're saying to people like, these are the signs of the burnout, it's all right giving them that time, but then where do you push them afterwards? Yeah. And that's, again, where people struggle to go, because there's nowhere to go. There's no one to, literally, you're going to a disappearing system. We'll get you some counselling somewhere. We'll do it. So that should be in the station. That should be there and then in the station to come with me. Not, we'll put a form in 4 months' time, because 2 days later that bloke could be, or that lass could be swinging off a tree.
Yeah, and the other problem is that the sergeants, they've got their hands tied behind the back because they're trying to deal with everything, and then you've got one of your officers come to you, and all they know is, well, I've got to put this form in, I've got to do this. And they do it, but like you say, it just goes absolutely nowhere. And then you've got officers that have actually put their hand up, which is the hardest thing to do in the world, by the way, and they don't get that support. And that's where the trust, the confidence has gone. And I had a conversation recently, and somebody said, well, what's your solution? And I said, relatability. Yeah. That genuinely is the biggest thing that needs to happen with burnout, well-being and all this. We need to have people that have been there, done it and understood it. And the officers can look at and go, you know what, I can trust this. Yeah. And I've, like you've said, have a system behind it. Forget about spending millions of pounds on all this rubbish that we spend money on, because it's ridiculous. We need to spend money on the people that matter the most. And if you're an employer, you need to have a duty of care. And at the minute, that duty of care is being massively let down. And to me, it's the biggest crime that's happening in policing. Yeah. Forget about going in and looking at all these crimes that we investigate ourselves. And the problem is we're not willing to hold the mirror up. And when we do, we've got police forces that aren't willing to do it because they know that their systems are poor. So I'm going to give a shout out to Humberside Police. Right, because I've spoken to them and they want to do something and they want to actually make a bit of a change. And I've got a massive amount of respect for it, because sadly, for a lot of police forces, well-being is seen as a nice thing. And in my opinion, it's an absolutely imperative thing. It's the most important thing that you should have. Because if you're letting your officers down and you're letting your staff down, that is a clear sign that you're not valued. And if people aren't valued, they walk away or they get sick and they go off. And that's not just letting the service down, it's letting the public down as well. And we talk about code of ethics and we talk about what honesty and integrity. Let's be honest with ourselves and say we're not doing it well enough. Yeah. Because we're not. Yeah. And you'll have police forces out there that might say, well, we don't like this. We don't like the fact that people are saying it. It needs to be said. It needs to be said, because if it's not said, it's going to carry on getting worse. We've already highlighted that over the past couple of weeks, there's been some absolutely tragic stories of police officers, and we don't know the details of that, but I can promise you 1,000,000% that that's one too many.
Yeah.
It's one too many. And if we can put things in place that can help and support officers better and highlight, the issues that officers are facing, and we can put the support in place that people trust and believe in and don't have a fear of it, we will make policing better.
After the issue when I left, and then the impact that it's been trying to get this into the forefront, these shouldn't be happening anymore. And I don't mean because of me, I just mean these shouldn't be happening anymore, because it should have been highlighted in general of why this person leaves, why these other people are leaving. You can't take a job that we do and have such an impact on people and not make, I'm going to say like it's a bit of a state case here, or case law in theory. Like people in police will understand that. So all these people watching might have one viewer on this. You might have 50 viewers, we might have 100,000 viewers, you might have no one. But if I can say now, down camera, to all these people I've never met watching, but I can say, my name's Ben Pearson, I've got mental health issues. Why can't they now talk to someone on the team? Why they can't talk to the mum, the dad, the brother, sister, the son, the daughter, the sergeant, the best friend, the oppo in traffic, or wherever they're going to be? Why can't they say that? Because I'm saying it to all these people. George is here, I'm saying it to you. I don't give a toss how it makes. It's not like, it doesn't make me feel uncomfortable. Yeah. It just makes me, I'm 100% brutally honest with it. So why can't they? And if they start raising their hands, like I said, and that one person now who's struggling decides, right, I'm going to do something about it now. And that's all it's about. And that's why we're in this position. We're in, just when I left police, just let me say this as well. Someone said, you've got I only had like 10,000 followers on TikTok, but from my works account. They said, are you going to start another one up? And I went, no, I'm done. I don't know what to do with it. And this is why I still work in the police circuit. Stuff like this. They said, if you've got a platform, why aren't you using that platform for good?
Yeah.
And I went, well, I don't want to. I was poorly, still am poorly. I'm still in therapy. But why aren't you using it for good? You can literally leave, go to work in a building site, go. But if you've got a platform and you can do it for good and you can push people in the right direction, you can push people down that path saying, if you're not right, or that boss, you're doing this wrong, whatever, you do it. And that's where all this has stemmed from. That's why you're here, that's why we're doing this together, because you're here, I'm here, and we don't care what other people are thinking about, well, you shouldn't be saying this, you shouldn't be doing that. We're doing it because we need to be pushing people in the right direction. We don't want these people committing suicide. We want these people to understand what burnout is. We want these people to understand if they're struggling and to do something about it.
Well, the one thing that always kind of gets thrown at times is that they'll go, yeah, well, it's getting better, we're doing better, and we're doing well. I've had that said to me a couple of times, we've got a new initiative and it's going, doesn't matter, because no one trusts it. You can have the best thing in the world, but no one trusts it. And I always think to myself, if it's that good, why are people reaching out to people like me and you? Yeah. If it was that good, you just reach out to the job and say, you know what, I need a bit of support. No. But they don't. What they do is they reach out to somebody, and I can guarantee for them to reach out to me or reach out to you or to reach out to anybody else, that has taken a lot of courage. Yeah. A lot of courage for them to do that. To an absolute stranger, when if it was as good as what police forces think, they'd just reach out to the job and say, you know what, I know there's some support there and I believe in it and I trust in it and I want some help. Yeah. But the reality is they don't, because they don't know what it's about, because it's not very well communicated, and they don't feel like it's relatable. And I've heard horror stories of people not being supported the way they should. Well,
I'll just give you an example before we end. What time we're on, George? We'll just give this quick example. And again, this is nothing derogatory towards other people, but I want to give you an example of how it does work. And this is West Yorkshire Police. My dad was dying of cancer. My best friend, who was really poorly. And I went on my VIP motorcycle escort course, my VIPEX course. So obviously these people that ride around Royal Family and this sort of thing. And they were doing that. And they were failing. And Gary on course, one of the instructors, he knew I was failing. And I was failing. I was going fucking under. I was struggling. I couldn't cope with the fact that my dad was dying. He was really poorly. Gary, top sergeant, and he saw it. And then eventually got to a point where I ended up getting kicked off course. And it was the right thing to do. Gary did the right thing. So obviously following on Twitter, failed my Vipex course. I'll be back soon. You know, hashtag mental health. And then this were on Friday because it was week 1, 2, 3 and 4 and that sort of thing. I got back into work, I think it was Monday morning, and everyone knew that I'd lost my permits. I didn't know.
Yeah.
But it come from driver training. I don't mean they'd blab,
Yeah.
but it come from driver training because that's what had happened. Or Ben's done this, that's fine. But then it come from other people doing other things, and then someone in an office, I won't say where, but someone in an office had decided, right, we'll have his permits. So then when I got back in, there's sniggering on team, X, Y, and Z, that Ben's had his permits pulled for talking about mental health.
Yeah.
And then she sat there and someone basically went, yeah, your permits are all gone, you're now a non-driver, and because I put a tweet out.
Yeah.
Now, if they went, can you ask why we put this tweet out? And then I said, well, my dad's dying of cancer, X, Y, and Z, are you all right?
Yeah.
I'm all right, yeah. Do you want to drive? I'll be a passenger for a couple of weeks. Cool, not a problem, man. When you feel like driving, drive. But for him to turn around and say, your permits are now gone. And then I was pulling up at bumps as the passenger or in pursuits with someone who's not T-Pack. And they're all taking piss going, well, why are you? And, he's fucking losing his marbles and this. And you're thinking like, that's how it's handled wrong.
Yeah.
And that's not a stigma towards the job, but that's why you think people will be on it now. Well, I suppose that's the police, and that's how to prevent burnout and mental health in a place. So we'll see you next time for some more questions.